Hello, my friend. I am happy you are here with me today. Imagine a small town on the western coast of Norway, a quiet place where the cold winds of the North Sea touch the land and the salty air fills every corner. Red and white houses stand peacefully among endless green fields, while cows slowly walk beneath the northern sky. On a small football pitch, a 5-year-old boy is chasing a ball with incredible energy. He is taller than most children his age, with blonde hair, endless movement, and a dream that nobody can see yet. Watching from the sideline is his father. He is only 32 years old, but every cold day brings pain back to his injured knee. Once, he was the player on that field. Once, he had his own football dreams. But dreams do not always end. Sometimes they are passed from one generation to another. The father's journey stopped too early, but his dream was never forgotten. Because one day, that little boy would carry his father's unfinished dream beyond anything he ever imagined. Stay with me until the end, because this is not just the story of a football legend. It is a story of family, sacrifice, determination, and a father's dream coming alive through his son. This is the extraordinary journey of Erling Haaland, the Haaland family, born in Leeds, raised in Brine. On the 21st of July, 2000, a boy was born in Leeds, England. His name was Erling Haaland. He was born into a family where sport was already a way of life. His father, Alfie Haaland, was a talented Norwegian midfielder playing for Leeds United, one of England's biggest football clubs at the time. His mother, Marita Braut, was a champion athlete who had represented Norway in the heptathlon, a demanding competition that combines 7 different events, 1 family, 2 athletes, and a child who already carried the spirit of competition in his blood. Erling's first moments were in England, but his roots always belonged to Norway. Just weeks before his birth, Alfie had completed a move to Manchester City. Soon after, the family left Leeds and began a new chapter in Manchester. At only 27 years old, Alfie was strong, disciplined, and respected by the fans. He was living the dream that many young footballers chase, but football careers can change in a single moment. Slowly, injuries began to take their toll. The body that had carried him through countless battles on the pitch started to give up. The dream that once seemed endless came to an unexpected end. Alfie returned home to Brine, the small Norwegian town where he had grown up. Away from the spotlight, he started a new life. He built houses, raised his family, and focused on being a father. On weekends, he took his young son to the local football fields of Brine, a small town, a quiet place, a town with only around 12,000 people. To most people, it was just a place on the map. But to Erling Haaland, it was the beginning of everything. Those simple football fields would become the place where a dream was born. The kid who only wanted to score. At just 5 years old, Erling Haaland stepped onto the football fields of Brine FK, the same club where his father had once chased his own dreams. The same grass, the same small clubhouse, the same place where a young Alfie Haaland had once stood as a hopeful footballer. Now, a new story was beginning. This time, it was Erling's turn. His coach was Alfing Viburnsen, a man who had watched hundreds of young players come and go, but there was something different about this boy. From the very beginning, Erling stood out. He was fearless, he was determined, he did not care about the crowd, the opponent, or the pressure around him. There was only one thing on his mind: scoring goals. In 2006, when he was still a young child, Erling achieved something incredible. He recorded a standing long jump of 1.63 meters, a distance many believed was extraordinary for his age. Even then, his physical strength and explosive power were impossible to ignore. Football was not the only sport in his life. He played handball, he played golf. He trained on the running track, following the same athletic path his mother had once walked. But nothing compared to football. The game completely captured him. He could play for hours, even after the sun had disappeared, until his mother finally called him home. His father was always there. He drove him to training. He watched quietly from the sidelines. But he never needed to force him, because Erling already had something inside him, a hunger that pushed him forward every single day. Years later, when Erling was 17, a Norwegian journalist asked him about his biggest dream. His answer showed the confidence of someone who already believed in his future. He wanted to win the Premier League with Leeds United, the same club where his father had played. He wanted to earn more appearances for Norway than his father ever did. He was only 17 years old. But the dream was already clear. Norwegian football was a small world, small stadiums, small crowds, a football culture that often remained unnoticed outside the country. But from a small town in Norway, a young boy was preparing to make the entire world pay attention. Salzburg at Molde. By 2015 and 2016, Erling Haaland was still only 15 years old, but he was already making people question how far his talent could go. Playing for Brine 2, the club's reserve team, he created numbers that were impossible to ignore: 14 matches, 18 goals. A teenager was dominating games against players who were older, stronger, and more experienced than him. Slowly, the football world in Norway started to notice. Scouts began arriving in Brine, a small town that had rarely attracted this kind of attention. They sat in the simple wooden stands, watching closely as a young striker with incredible power and confidence challenged defenders twice his size. They were not just watching a talented player, they were watching the beginning of something special. In the summer of 2016, only 3 months before his 16th birthday, Brine gave Haaland his senior team debut. The news spread quickly. Clubs across Norway began asking questions. Who was this young player? Where could he go? The first major club to make a move was Molde FK, one of Norway's biggest football teams. In February 2017, Haaland officially joined Molde, and waiting for him was a coach who would play an important role in his development, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Every Norwegian football supporter knew that name. Years earlier, Solskjaer had shared the national team with Alfie Haaland, Erling's father. He was also the player who scored the famous winning goal for Manchester United in the 1999 Champions League final. Now, years later, he was back in Norway, ready to help build the next generation of footballers. Think about that moment. A father once stood beside Solskjaer on the pitch. Now, his son was learning from him in the dressing room. In football, some opportunities are created by talent. Others are opened by the people who came before you. At Molde, Haaland began transforming into a complete player. His body became stronger. He gained around 15 kilograms, and every bit of strength helped make him faster, more powerful, and more difficult for defenders to handle. Solskjaer noticed something special about him. He said, Haaland trained harder than anyone else. In his second season, the young striker started 17 league matches and scored 12 goals. The next step was waiting. In January 2019, at just 18 years old, Erling Haaland signed for Red Bull Salzburg in Austria. Norway had helped create him. Now Europe was about to discover him.